I've come today to Brockley and Ladywell Cemetery. These are situated in southwest London. There were originally two separate cemeteries, Brockley and Ladywell, but now they're treated as one. Firstly, the background noise, if you can hear it, is some tree felling going on. And there's a shredder there shredding up the various branches. It's always nice to see some different insignia or design on a grave. And on this one we've got what looks like two tulips on the left hand side. And this is for Lucy E. McClelland. The angel here is distinctly falling backwards. It's partly the stone, but partly the design. She looks as though she's about to fall asleep or fall backwards. This one's got a very unhappy looking angel, bouquet of flowers, head bowed, and the name on here is Maria Nelson and David Nelson. This is a little unusual. We have the angel actually kneeling, again with a bouquet of flowers held in front of her. Very clean and possibly a replacement stone. This is Arthur Howard, who died in 1935, a gunner in the Royal Artillery and a defender at Rorke's Drift in South Africa in 1879. The grave itself is newly tended with these flowers and it has been weeded, so I suspect the stone is a replacement because everything else around is in a quite different format. The white marble type stone here stands out very clearly amongst the rest of the memorials, and on the bottom we can see it's to my dearly beloved wife Rose May Hopkins, died in 1929.
No, I don't know.
A little boy angel or cherub on this one, and underneath it says it's to Bobby Main, who fell asleep in his third year. Next door is Thomas Diplock, who was killed 14th of September 1930. And underneath is his son, who was killed in the First World War. I'm not quite sure why the top one was killed in 1930. I don't know that we were at war then. Story tucked away behind that one. Another example of this very bright white stone that holds its inscription very clearly, stands out amongst all the other stones. This one is to Ernest Frederick Copeland, 1928. One here with the angel in front of the cross, but unusually the wings are opened. Almost invariably the wings are folded when you see angels. One of the larger memorials in this part of the graveyard sadly has a distinctly dangerous tilt on it. The inscription is to the memory of the sons of John and Grace Reiki, who lost their lives in the Great War. And there's three sons there who died. John Blair Reiki, 1918, age 36. Richard Blair Reiki, in action, 1917, age 33. And Harry Heatley Reiki, a pilot RAF, in action near Hamel, age 23. That's a terrible price for any family to pay. Three sons dying in the war. A little bit unusual here. We've got two angels lifting this young lady, presumably up to heaven. And on the bottom it mentions in her 23rd year, Maud. This angel is very prominent on this stone. The inscription is to our dear daughter Maud Hewitt, aged 31 years. One here remembering someone who died in the Second World War, Sergeant Charles Henry Herbert, RAF Volunteer Reserve, killed in action 1943, aged 32, and buried at Marl in Germany. Chap in the graveyard here, playing some sort of brass instrument. Probably as good a place as any. Can't imagine if he played it at home the neighbours would be very pleased. Oh, there he is. The ground in this churchyard is obviously very soft in places, and some of these stones are now at quite precarious angles. This is a very large lump of stone and would cause grave injury if it fell on you. The name is Elizabeth Susan Hare, the beloved wife of Harry Rigby, who died suddenly in 1905, aged 47. Beautiful, peaceful, apart from the musician playing, beautiful, peaceful graveyard. Where the path divides, we have this very large memorial, although with the angle of the inscription it's quite difficult to read. By clambering up on the stone I can see it's to Doris Winifred, the eldest daughter of George and Ina Winifred Furness. A rather uncommon surname on this one. Isabel Maud, beloved wife of J. Musselwhite, and then Joseph Ernest Musselwhite. Close to one of the smaller paths, war memorial to Private G.S. Rossiter, the Royal Sussex Regiment, and he died in July 1918. Apologies for the aeroplane going over ahead, but we are in the outskirts of London. A lot of aircraft flying here. This is to Charles Henry Abbott, who died on active service 1918, and the design of the stone is interesting. It looks like brickwork up each side, and you've got ivy leaves falling over the top. Just something a little different. Alfred Richard Willett, who passed away in 1918, aged 45. And then my dear brother Lionel, who died a prisoner of war in Germany, 1918, aged 26. And then my dear son, Flight Lieutenant Cecil Alfred, who was killed in active service in the Second War, 1943, aged 42 years. Another one who died because of the war, Percy Charles Somerset, Corporal of the 7th Battalion AIF, 1916, died of wounds received at Pozieres, aged 23. The soft ground again is affecting this one. It does seem to be the larger ones that have a problem. This is tilting to the right and forward. I don't suppose it'll be there for many more years. And then the inscription at the bottom is Hilda Evelyn Giles, 1918, aged 16 years. It's a great shame, this soft ground that the cemetery suffers from, because these memorials will not be here for much longer. This one's in memory of Mountjoy Stephen James Fuller, but further down it mentions their two sons who fell in the Great War. Stephen Brady, who died of wounds, and he's interred in Boulogne, and George Edgar, the third son, who was killed in action in 1917. A different way of remembering a loved one. Here they've planted a tree that's in full blossom and just hung a little laminated card on it, and remembering their mother. No stone. She may not even be buried in this spot. She may have been cremated. But they've planted this tree in memory of her. Another one here that's falling forward and to the left. You can see engraved at the top is a bugle. And it's in a memory of Henry William Starr, aged 15 years, erected by his comrades, the officers, commissioned officers and privates of the 20th North Middlesex Rifles. He held the rank of bugler. There we are. Bit of a story on that one. Henry William Starr, aged 15. Like many of these cemeteries, a lot of it has been allowed to grow wild. You can see here these green lumps are actually ivy covering gravestones. In this picture there are a dozen, 20, but difficult to make them out because they're completely covered by creeper now. There's one you can see the stone just coming through the top still. The board here commemorates the civilian deaths of the First World War. On the left is a list of people who died in an air raid of the 7th-8th September 1915. This was a combination of high explosive and incendiary bombs dropped by an airship SL-2. And on the right hand side you can see an air raid of 25th of August 1916. And then the 1st of September. So these were civilian deaths in Deptford, not the whole of London, just Deptford in the First World War. Uncommon first name on this one. She was called Philadelphia, the wife of John W. Sampson. We have a war memorial here. On the back wall there are plaques with lists of names. Not very easy to make out because the sun is almost straight into the camera at the moment, but you can see looking down the list there some of the names who died in the war, and there are about a dozen of these plaques. On this side of the path here we have quite a number of larger memorials. This one is a different design of stonework from most of them. It's got the two piers, one each side in different coloured stone, and it's to Edmund Parnell. To the left we've got Amos William, the beloved husband of Alice Ruth Wilshire and brother of the above, fourth son of A.S.N.S. Wilshire, was killed in France in 1918. And if we pan across to the right here, we've got a memorial here to Claude, 1st Battalion Kent Cyclist Corps, 1915, age 22. Not so many angels in the memorials in this graveyard, although those that are here are styled with the wings open, which is unusual. Obviously, just the way the memorial mason, the stonemason, did them in this area. On this particular one, if we pan down, we see another war casualty, Thomas Edward White, 1916, late Royal Engineers. Nicely described here, William Brain, who calmly fell asleep. 1883, age 66. Always like it when we get a little bit of biographical information. This one is to John George Milbourne, Master Cooper of Her Majesty's Victualling Yard in Deptford. Master Cooper. This one is lying horizontally, and it's to, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name, but he was formerly the chief constructor of the Brazilian Navy, and he died here at Ladywell in 1898. Well, that's my visit to Brockley and Ladywell Cemetery. Pleasant spot. Very worthwhile spending time here exploring. A lot to see. Till the next time.